other people also can see. Okay. So this particular topic is about using computer vision and the camera as a sensor. Camera as a sensor. Okay. The starting point of using computer vision is actually, you must understand measurement science. Measurement means when you take the data, what you're going to convert the image into parameter. After that, what are the computer vision challenges and camera as a sensor? That means that what are all the constraints we have? Then the next one is we use camera as a sensor, as a contactless sensor with many metadata out. I can show you some of the things where I did when I was in KXR. It's not me, my scientists did all that for me. Very good, but a lot of problems also. And the next one was a project I run my own business. I was using LiDAR and computer vision, and 99%. They wanted me to guarantee 99%, or else I get penalty. But I took on the project. It was okay, I can do it. But I will share with you the technique. Measurement itself, there are a few types of measurement. Slow data, which you use, if you measure temperature, they're actually very, very slow. Then we have dynamic data, which is very fast, and the other one is a two-dimensional camera. I only concentrate on 2D, not stable vision, but this is what I have. And in the camera, you put in there, you use various video analytics algorithm, and then you can get information like people counting, color, car. These are basically object you do. They are not measurement. There's a difference between detection and measurement. Detection means I see a presence of human. How tall is it? I don't know. What color is it? I don't know. I roughly aga. So there are different levels. The detection is the simplest part. I detect on it. Because detection, there is an accuracy for detection and there's an accuracy of measurement. So I detect how many people here. So in a sense, the accuracy is quite easy to achieve. You see there are 6 people here. But if I want to measure people here, what's the weight, what's the size of a person here, I guess it's very, very difficult. Because the resolution is much higher. So it's just like detecting 5 people and measuring the height of everybody of the 5 people is totally different. So, why cannot? Okay, next one. So in terms of I go back to a simple sensor, not a camera, because it's just like you measure a sensor. So the sensor for this one is what we call static. The information don't change one, static. So it's like a static picture. So I talk about sensor, but I simplify. Measurement of sensor, I measure a temperature, is static. It doesn't change over time. This is time, this is measurement. So it's same as I see a picture. There are no other change in the picture. It's a static picture. It stays the same. The next one is what we call quasi-static. It moves very slow. So it's like a picture, when somebody runs, it moves very fast. It just walk. We call it quasi-static. The next level is dynamic. Means it moves very fast. When we move very fast, we call it dynamic and periodic. It's like this. It just keep moving like periodic. Okay. The next one is the most difficult, transient. Just like that. Okay. So in same as a camera, this is going to do with camera acquisition. When your object is moving very slow, or it is repetitive, or it's just like that. It's just like PMB, just screwing across. These are all the acquisition problems you face. It's not so simple because it depends on the what we call capturing rate. So like example, we call high repeatability, high accuracy means it goes inside. It means low repeatability, high accuracy is spread out. High repeatability, low accuracy. Okay, this one is low repeatability and this one is useless. You cannot do anything with it. Okay, this one is the worst. You cannot. I will send the slide to you. You don't need to write. You just write down notes, but I will send the slide to you. So when you get a sensor of rate, which data do you trust? When you get a data, you want to process, even for yourself, you want to extract meaningful information. Before you even do anything else, the data I give to you, you wouldn't trust this one, this point, because this point is not repeatable. This point offset, this point, you trust this one. So that's what I mean by having it trust. Then to get data accurate and repeated is very important, because you depend on this to make a decision, or you depend on multiple sources of it to make a decision. With sufficient data and points, signal processing can help. So if you want, there is one step still to process this data. To process this data, you see this like that, you see this like that, you see like that. You can still improve the accuracy by one more step of processing. We call it averaging. When you average it, it will cancel out all the randomness. Okay? This one is called averaging plus offset. Then you can get it accurate. The other one, you can forget about it. There's no pattern. So in a sense, you take the data, for the guy who gives you the data, he has to decide, does he do averaging and offset? But another problem, when you do averaging, you will damage the transient signals. That means that because if there are fast signals coming in, you average, you see nothing. That is a consequence of that. So every measurement point when you do, let's say, I use this as an example, but when you use a camera, it's the same problem. When you do averaging, you lose a lot of data. So, but there's always a trade-off, because that's a physical world. In an ideal condition, in a lab, university lab, you switch on, it works perfectly. But the real world is much more difficult. So the accuracy depends on a few things. For cameras, there is less of a problem, but it has a different type of problem. Maintenance and calibration of sensor is a function of time and drift and iteration. Camera has the same problem. You put a camera outdoor, the color can change. Next one, even though you put a camera, it can shift a little bit. The viewing angle can change, tilting. Because you put it there first time, it's okay. After you run 1 month, there's a strong wind going, and then the camera, like that. Then you start to have another set of problems, because there will be this unpractical environment. But if you put a camera indoor, usually no problem. And that's why you see some of the cameras, they put a camera, then they put housing. It's to prevent rain, water, wind from affecting it. Then after that, video analytics, we use it to process image data into structured information. Because when you get the image, is what we call is a lot of dots. Image is a lot of dots. You need to make it into a structured in the sense that then it becomes a text. That means that when I count, I take a picture here. Count number of people, 6. How many people wear red? 1. How many people wear black? 2. So in a sense, there are a lot of things you can get out of it. How many people wear spectacles? You also can get. So from the same camera, you can extract structured data out from it. And normally it's accurate only in controlled environment. Controlled environment. Uncontrolled is always site dependent. Okay, installation of sensor camera is very, very important. How you install the camera, and you expect functional accuracy for decision making. Because when you take information, you make a decision on whether to lock the door, turn the vehicle left or right. You are actually using the data for making decision. But if you are taking the data for awareness, you don't care about accuracy. But when you make a decision, it's no different from you go and see a doctor. The doctor put a thermometer in your mouth, and then he says that you have fever. Then actually he didn't calibrate his thermometer. Then how? He's making this data for decision. So when he makes a decision, you also want him to be accurate, correct? The worst thing is his thermometer is not calibrated, and he gives you drugs for God knows that reason. So these are all the challenges with it. So When you come from a infocom environment, you are more the ICT guy. The data is protected in cyberspace, is very stable. When you take the data, it's actually normally from SQL. Then you trust the number. In reality, it's not. In the electronics, the sensor operates in physical world with a lot of these sort of challenges. The guy who takes the software from SQL always trusts the number. The engineer who takes the data don't trust the number one. Because there's a lot of variable. Okay, so when you have all these problems, you could be sensing noise. In the physical world, it can be affected by noise, humidity, temperature, pressure, loose connection. When you throw the data into SQL, when you extract the data from here, is one point only, then you trust the data. Because if you take purely a software guy who takes it from SQL, he actually trusts his data. Whereas in the environment, is suffering this problem. So when you retrieve this, it's always the same number. But in this environment, when you treat it, you measure again and again, it can give you a different number. That is the difficult part. Because the problem is that when you take from a computer, you say computer don't lie. Actually, it's not true. It's actually this space. Okay. What it means is that when we do a measurement, why I explain measurement is because computer vision is used for a purpose, measurement. Feature measurement, parametric measurement. I will explain why it's important, so you bear with me. When you take a measurement, we have what we call 3 sigma. You measure this 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. You actually got a spread. Because it's not repeatable, there's a spread. Spread, in a sense, is not drastic spread. There will be some spread, plus minus 1%, plus minus 0.5, plus minus 3. So it depends on the spread you have. So technically speaking, when you interrogate from SQL, this thing don't change one. It just stays the same number. Okay. So when you take a data, physical measurement, sensors, RFID is no big deal. It's always repeatable because it is measuring the information on the chip itself. Let's say our tag, our tag will come in. It's actually it's very repeatable because it's not affected by environment. The next one, if you measure temperature, it has this problem. If you take facial recognition using a camera, you have this problem. Every picture is a dot. So you've got markers, one marker of this can have 1 square. That means that when I take from you, I measure the distance of your eye. There are actually 2 points. This point is that point. So there is a spread on here, there's a spread on there. But when you fuse it together to make a facial marker, it has many spread. That is actually the challenging point. So that's why I try to explain to you all, those who are involved in computer vision, these are the realities. So that's why I mentioned to you, when I go and meet my customer on projects, when he asks me to do something, usually my customers do not know enough. So I tell them, I use a whiteboard, I just explain. Then they understand. Because the guy who talk to me, usually we don't have so much field experience. They can read on the book, they can understand through the internet, but they've never done real end-to-end project in their life. Normally for the guys from the customer, if they can do the job, they won't even call, they will do themselves. Okay, so every point got variation one. So 20 points marker here, you got a lot of problem. So once you go into here, less problem. Okay, so I'm just telling you that this point has a lot of error in the real world. Okay, another part where I want to share with you is what we call aliasing. Aliasing means what? If you have a temperature which moves up and down, when you measure at this point, at this time, at this time, at this time, we call it sampling. It's just like our camera has this problem. Our camera also frame by frame one. When you sample it this way, you think that the temperature don't change. This is what aliasing. Because if you measure at this point, then you snap to measure this point, you measure this point. What it means actually you measure this. That's how it works. So when you think actually there's no problem, actually it's not true. So you got to sample faster. That's why in the discussion with our guys in the camera, I always ask them, what's your frame rate? 15 speed. Because if you put 2 frames per second, you see nothing, you can get wrong information. So that's why I always say, you know, if you are not aware, you trust the camera they set up for you, you are making false assumption. So the guy who wants to give you the data must know that all these problems exist. I try to teach you all because you find that actually if you haven't gone through this, our own engineer actually also not so experienced in physical work. It's also learned by trial and error. So what I'm trying to stop you all from doing is that don't try things. It's a science, but you have to understand the science enough. Okay, so when you have it quasi-static, if it's too slow, you miss this point. It's just like, so why I show that is suddenly insertion you miss, then you say, hey, no problem. It's not true. Because you miss the control. So this is why speed is important. It's because of all these problems. Because you're using to make a decision to brake. Then when you hit, then you start the investigation. Hey, why your software didn't pick it up? Actually, nothing to do with software. It's just that something you miss it. Okay, so if you expand the scale, you got to sample very fast. But there are realities. That means that if my customer come and tell me, hey, there's a budget I can do. Hey boss, you ask me to buy this camera, I will use it. But you're going to have this problem, don't come and talk to me. But if you don't say that, it becomes your problem. You tell them, you ask me to buy this camera, and you say you cannot afford, but you must expect this risk. Rather than he asks you, and then you say, okay, it becomes your risk because you didn't tell him it cannot be done. So to tell a customer what cannot be done demands a higher skill. Then you just accept what the customer tells you. Because you dare to say no. Right, then come. So when you go into this, when you take an image, a scene involves images or image processing. So, and the image defined by two-dimensional, and is an analog or digital, and it tends to have intensity of color. And in the 2D space, you have basically coordinate on every point. So if you take a digital picture, a T joint is actually like that. It's binary. This is in binary space. Now, in the analog, it's more complicated because it's continuous flow. It goes from two-dimensional and it's a continuous time domain. Then this is more smoother. What we see as human is actually analog world. Okay? Our human is analog world, but we form a digital world. That's why they always call digital twin and all that. But actually, it's got to do with, because we can see smooth and our eyes can pick up much faster than the camera. And then at the same time, you need to have a continuous quantity so that you form analog image. But this is a very traditional way. An analog image tend to form what the human sees, and you see when people take the X-ray. Are you aware? You know, X-ray film is actually very, very high resolution, much more higher than digital. And this is where some of the things people will pick it up for cancer spots, because it's very high resolution. Because the X-ray film is a chemical process; it goes into molecules. Whereas for camera, you're fixed by a number of pixels. There's nothing you can do on this one. It frames up. The camera can capture it more dots, and you can display more dots. But that's why on the X-ray film, people, the doctors, the traditional doctors, they still use analog, but for convenience, they're changing it. But it's getting higher and higher resolution. It takes time. Okay. So analog images are required for you. It's just like us. When I see you see a picture, it's actually in analog form already. But you ask a computer, it cannot. It has to go into digital space to every pixel on top. So in digital image, basically is formed by XY coordinate. At the same time, it has depth. That means you have a grayscale or color. Color, one dot Grayscale. Grayscale means it's black and white. Grayscale means black to white. Normally grayscale is what we call 8-bit. 8-bit is 256 resolution, different shades of gray. Color is even more difficult. One dot has RGB, red, green, blue. Okay, 3 colors, and each color got 8-bit, 256, 256, 256. That's why color processing is very complicated, and it uses a lot of power. That's why for image processing, most of the time we convert to grayscale. Then it's easier to handle. But you lose information. That's the problem. So it depends on your purpose. Okay, if you take a digital image, it is formed by pixel, and every of these is representing from a picture element of pixel. The color, let's say, is 256. This is 248. So that's how a digital image is presented for signal processing. So the starting point why I share with you for image processing, the front part is already that you have to understand. You have to understand all these basics, then you image process, then you get data out. Okay, so if you take a digital picture, you see what I meant just now. I told you there's illumination and the imaging. So every object, what you see from a digital space, it starts from light source, illumination. What light you throw in and what it picks up. So normally over there, this color is what we call white band, completely white, so that you have a full spectrum of light. Then you pick it up. Then after that, you get in a grid form, and then you digitize. Then you get pixel. So basically, that's what it does. No more than that. So the difficulty, you will see that sometimes you put red color, green color, red color. So even for me, when we do computer vision for high speed, we actually change the color. Sometimes we change the color because the object reflect much better on a certain color. Let's say I have an object, I want to do vision. I can change the different color so that when my camera picks it up, it can see better contrast. So you increase the resolution, the accuracy by using color. But this is very, very controlled in the factory. You cannot do it here. So that's why I tell you all this technique is not new. You just have to be aware that there are all these issues on the table. Okay, so if you take a pixel like this, if you truncate it into a square, you see like this is not a square. You see, you superimpose a grid on it, you will pixel like that. So if you take the nose here, it's actually a concept of pixel. So when you do computer vision, it's actually pixel computation. The fundamental is pixel computation. Every pixel is a point, and every point has a depth. If it's greater, that means that one square has 256 level possibility. It can stay in any of these 256. So when you go outdoor, the camera, when you put it outdoor, I just share with you, this is a part you'll be very surprised when I talk to people who are doing computer imaging. They actually don't understand this. Very senior people in government and in companies. Okay. So when you do count the number of people in indoor, this is no problem because you control lighting. But when you put it outdoor, it's all affected by shadowing. Why? The sun is rotating at 23.4 degrees off axis. Our sun from here, so if you are here, it's actually rotating at this axis. So that means that the shading of this changes over time. So when you install a camera to count number of people, it works. 6 months out later, it's not accurate. Then what do you do? And then the problem is that even on the same day next year, you might have clouds. It's not so simple because the variable is you can't control. But if you take the camera, put in indoor without affecting by the sun, it's okay. So it's not a question cannot work. It's a question of under what condition it works well, and under what condition it doesn't work well. just like when I was discussing with people who do surveillance, when they want to put outdoor camera, I told them you have to expect this will not work under those conditions. Just tell them straight. I said now I can tune in for you. 6 months down the road, if you want me to retune, you have to pay.
But actually, now deep learning, I think we can overcome some of these issues.
Yeah. But not all. Can you guarantee?
Highly dependent on data.
Correct. But if that data has not happened, you got no data to learn. So to do this, I need the data for the whole year, correct?
Okay.
So I have to wait for 1 year. And then I have to wait for condition to be correct to collect the data. I cannot predict when there's no data forward thinking. So there will always be a hybrid. The hybrid model for predicting is to use a parametric modeling. Then after that, the collecting of data is fast to keep improving over time. So it's actually a hybrid system. Because if it hasn't happened before, how to get data to train? One is, so actually it's a combination method. The method in front is to use a traditional parametric model. Then the exception which comes out, you throw it to the machine learning. Because you need a first level of detection.
Actually, I always, personally, I always thought it's better to do it the other way. You want the more robust or programmed way of detection and encapsulating deep learning. Because sometimes if you say that deep learning, you don't fully trust it or whatever.
Because you don't have the data to train. If you don't have the data to train, where are you going to get it from?
But right now, what you're saying is you are instead kind of doing a pre-processing using traditional CV and then encapsulating it.
I can explain to you why. Okay, example. There is when I was discussing with one of the startup to do this, I have a surveillance center. So the surveillance center is augmented by human. You still need a security guard. So you have the machine learning engine inside there. So the trick behind is that when the thing comes out, it cannot detect. When it detects, it's not sure. So the security guard click. That means that you use a supervised machine man to click, then it becomes an engine to in data. Because if you don't have, that scenario never happened in his life before, there is no data for the machine learning to learn. But you use an augment. But over time, the supervisor don't have, the human don't have to see the scene so much. Because you need the first line of defense. If you don't have, you cannot train the engine if you got no data. So it's a chicken and egg problem. Okay, let's. So the same camera we can use for multi-purpose, very unstructured to structured, and it can handle all this, but not for measurement. Okay, so in there we use camera for this. The other one is camera. This was done quite successfully for PUB. That was when the time I was in A-Star. We were handling more than 500 cameras on construction site to analyze water discharge. And this one is road surface monitoring, 160 cameras for that. This PUB got cameras along the road. So at the back end, when the road surface flood happens, they want to see, because the flash flood comes in and go up very fast. Then when they go there, no problem really. So they don't know where the flash flood occurred. This one is for contractor where if they don't clean the water, then they discharge into the drain, and the drain goes into our reservoir. So this is PUB's requirement. So, okay, I share with you this one. Let me see. So for one data point we can basically go back from there. You see, from one picture, we didn't finish this, but we show them the concept. You can see from there the average number of cars, dwell time, number of people in the picture, average dwell time, number of bicycle. So from the one quick camera, you can pick up so much information from there. If you do at the little corner, the trick we do is that light intensity. So you know that when the camera is taken, we don't adjust the camera, just camera there, then sit down and figure out what can you get out of it. So I show you the video we have. Wait, I don't know this is the video. Okay, don't have, I have it somewhere here. Then for the road surface flood, we have all the cameras we bring to there. You can pick up from the camera detection zone and camera. Okay, there. Okay, I share with you easier here. Okay. So this is a flood, this is a camera flood system. So this is the baseline probability of flood. You can see from there, regional interest, alarm level, if it goes up this, it goes alarm. This is normal, example of normal site. You can see all this. This is using machine learning. Flooded one. The spots there. See, you go up. Then it goes down. So this is where we okay, same thing, sorry. Another side. And the problem is camera viewing angle. We have also problem is when the road is wet, when the sun is an angle of reflection, it just saturates the camera. I mean, we can show you about a lot of problems with it because of the sunlight lighting problem. Okay. Okay, good sense, sorry. Another one, silt. Remember the discharge? I'll tell you the story behind. You see on there is a silty discharge. It comes on the table on there. When it hits the alert, okay, this part comes on the table. It came out on newspaper, TV. This is very successful. They implement to all the sites. Let discharge into the canal. Once you discharge inside there, it can cause because the water can carry there. Then when you got silt, the carrying capacity goes down. You see that? There's a blue color, you see? Okay. This is the guy, Amit. He migrated to Canada this year. So the water is pre-treated before they are allowed to discharge. So during the surveillance, instead of the POV go there to go and see, we use a camera person. It's part of their regulatory requirement now.
What if I discharge at night? Then you have a light source?
Yeah, there's a light source. But you can actually don't need. You just put a water hose to bypass the camera. Simpler. But
camera is fixed.
It's fixed. But I tell you that we all know how much you work. When you discharge, we also know your time. Cannot be the volume of water going every day when you do construction. There is an amount of volume of water coming out for PV, right? So we know the politics. We all know. if it doesn't come out, where is it going to? Correct? So okay, I tell you, just now you saw the blue color, correct? It's very strange. Okay, when the project started, my engineers who are doing all this software algorithm, they try many things. And the problem is not repeatable. Okay? It's not repeatable. Because they want to see clean water and dirty water discharge. So they do machine learning, all that with lighting, all that, all don't work. Because the accuracy was about 30-40% only. That means that you do a control test and you find it doesn't work. So then I didn't want to tell my guys the technique. So they thought that using the new technique, but that was done in about 2014, when I was in A-Star. So I got a few scientists working on algorithm. So they didn't believe me. So I said, okay, they'll go and try. But they couldn't get it consistent. Because there is also lighting problem, because you got cloudy, rain, and night. All these problems come up. So I told them, no, let's do it that way now. So I told them, they never heard of this technique. We call it color reference marker. Okay, what it means, what it means. You understand, color reference marker. Yeah. So we have background, water flow. We put red color first. Clean water, dirty water. We see the difference. Let's say red background, clean water and dirty water has 10% discrimination. Yellow, and we found blue has the biggest difference. Okay, that's one. Second one, we use the blue, we know the color of the blue, and we know the paint color. And every time we measure, when there's no water, we do an auto calibration on the color. Auto calibration. You see the trick? You do auto calibration. That means that it's blue, I know it's this type of blue. Because color is very different, because they got different vendors supplying cameras to different sites. Different cameras, because there are 500, there are about 30, 40 vendors supplying different cameras to different sites. So how you handle consistency when you got so many sites? Correct? So what we do is we put color markers. Okay? Color markers, if you understand that, you go and see our newspaper. You know, we see a newspaper. Have you ever watched? There are color markers on your newspaper. Correct? Those are used for color calibration. So by doing that, you can calibrate color, or else I cannot, because I got dark blue, green blue, shade, so many types of shade, and shade, I told you, when the camera takes, it's not blue, it's RGB. That's the problem. And then we have to calibrate our RGB. Also our RGB, we have the paint, we even specify the type of paint, so that the contractor, when they first install, they use the paint number, that's it. Then after that, all okay. We could get accuracy 80%, very consistent. But from PUB point of view, they are happy with it already. Because they can send warning letter already. The warning letter is automatic, comes out, then officer say, send or don't send, that's all. Got standard format, standard words. You are caught in this charge, and they put a picture for you, then the boss will say, yeah.
So you use, maybe just trying to see whether I understand correctly or not. So you say you use a blue color paint. Then the blue color paint is used for two purposes. One is to kind of discriminate between, to make the difference between dirty and
higher.
Okay,
yes.
Due to the blue background.
Yes.
This is one purpose. Another purpose is when there's no water coming out, you use it for auto calibration.
Auto calibration, camera color.
So it serves two purposes.
It serves two purposes, yes. Very simple trick. Not complicated, just paint only.
The blue one will make dirty or not a lot of time.
Yes, but over time then we will send a message to us and we paint. I know the question. It does. But because it's such a, you see, the problem is that it's outdoor. How do you solve this problem? With a 500 size, you just imagine how to handle. So we need to think of a way how to solve. So my guys was thinking a pure software solution. Because they are computer science people, they come from a few of them got PhD, they can think. So I sat down there, Then I let them go and suffer in the hot sun, you know. They said, oh, go there, calibrate. How many times you going to do it? Because they didn't believe me. They didn't believe me. So because I've done color calibration before, in factory we do that, but it's a technique. It's not known so well unless you come from photography. If you play around with camera, you will understand.
Sometimes if you want to do the color classification, so they may need to do
Yeah, you understand color calibration and color
want to
calibration.
know what the person wearing is a red color shirt
Yes.
or what. So
Yes,
sometimes
correct. No, but you see, those techniques are outside the normal computer vision domain. It comes from another domain. That's why in some of this technology, it's cross-domain. You use, that's why I always say, if you're a hammer, every problem you try to see, you see it's merely a nail. It's not. You need multidiscipline one. But that's why it makes it fun and makes it complicated. And when they solve it, all happy, you know. No need to go on site. No, it's a struggle. You got one day you have on the camera, the cloudy changes, your color all changes. So you cannot get it constant. So even if cloudy, blue is blue, I can automatically change one. So, okay. Next one, this is the one I actually do myself. We have a PSA crane. That was in PSA. We wanted, it is used for measurement. The crane is so high, we wanted to measure the deflection and movement of this dot. So we put markers on here. So on markers on here, we track the movement and we use cameras, 2 cameras to cover the view. And the problem with 2 cameras, you need to synchronize the time. That is the difficult part. To synchronize the time, I got clock transmission. Okay, because when you got 2 cameras, how you synchronize the frame? Because if you don't synchronize, you get offset in time. You cannot measure, because when you measure a movement, you need time synchronization in all your information. So I got strain gauges, cameras, but I need time synchronization. So I have a transmitter, we transmit. Then I clock. Okay. So the purpose of this was to measure movement while its crane is moving. And you cannot measure with wires because it's moving and tons or a few tons, you know. And the technique we use is photogrammetry. In computer vision, for those who do computer vision, it might not be so, but the technique is called photogrammetry. You all heard of this word before? Photogrammetry. Using cameras for measurement is called photogrammetry. Yeah. Okay, so what we did was that we have a model. The cargo, as it moves, we plan how you move. We have targets on there. So at the end of the day, you see, we could measure displacement over time for different axes. From displacement over time, we can get velocity because you do a differential over time. You get distance over time, velocity over time, acceleration over time. What we want is actually acceleration, because acceleration, mass times acceleration is force. Okay, so because you carry the container, it's a big weight, let's say 10 tons. But once you know acceleration, you know the forces involved. Mass times acceleration. But you can't measure acceleration directly, that's the problem. You can use an accelerometer. But the problem is that it's moving up and down so fast. So we want the contactless, because when they move one crane, if I put a sensor, I got to take it out. Then for the next crane, so we say cannot. So we use a contactless method. Is basically measure this displacement over time, do a double differentiation to get acceleration. Then from there, we know the mass of the container size, then we know the dynamic force. It's not a static force, it's a dynamic force. A dynamic force means like that.
Can I have picture for 1 minute?
Yeah. So dynamic force like that. When you have a force built this way, is static. A dynamic force like that, on average is still the same, but the maximum will stress the joint. That's why they have this problem in PSA. So the NTU guys were doing the finite element modeling. I was doing the measurement. Okay. The other part, I share with you is this is the motorcycle where I had the project was done in 2005. We were having motorcyclists coming from Malaysia, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. There is limited manpower to do the routine checking. In fact, today they are struggling with the same problem. They haven't solved it. So the concept given to me was motorcycle come in, then they use camera on top, camera on the side, because I asked for two cameras, one in front, one in the back, and this is the fingerprint. Automatic, if we pass, the gate open. If it doesn't open, the beep, officer go there for passport. So this was meant to be automated. That early they started. So the solution I had was this again 3. The camera up and camera down, 2 sides. Okay. So the image processing method, 2 camera, the technique I told them, we count number of helmets. So when I proposed it with the customer, I even tell you how I do it. So I get them to agree. Then less than 2 seconds, and then image classification. So assumption we make, human head has 2 sizes. Because you wear a helmet, there's only a limited size you can go. And also maximum head, and then you have a template. We use the template matching, but that's a long time ago. Today I only use this method. Okay, constraints. Silver is a problem, silver helmet, because of light reflection. So I told them silver can't work. I don't tell them it cannot work. Okay, then we want control lighting. Okay, so this is the type of example. We have the iris. This was originally they start with iris. So camera 1, camera 1, camera 2, camera 2. So that means that for this person there are 2 views. So in a sense it's viewing angle. So what we do is that we use these 2 as a markers for calibration. Okay, trick behind, 2 cyclists, then you do image background substitution. Okay, remove the noise. Okay, we use neural networks. It's the same. What they all do in machine learning, but this is very much earlier neural network technique. So we calculate like that. Okay, so we have problems with it. Nothing to do with the software. Light condition, same problem, but the lighting problem never changed when you use the camera. Color dependent, because you have black jacket, black camera, helmet, a new set of problems start. Okay, and then some of the helmet got pattern. All these problems start. So example, we have, you see the accuracy detection, go up, come down, reflection, all those struggle we have. Okay, so summary, software system, we have to keep improving the algorithm, that's a part. It's not sustainable. Keep changing algorithm. So I told them it's not sustainable. Pitfalls known. So I told them we will aim only for better than 98 by December 2007. That's it. I'm not going to do more than that. There's too much limitation already. And in fact, we are the only one who will be doing. The rest could not. The contract was given to me by NEC, Japan. So we did this, and you can see the accuracy for 70 going up and down for 2 lanes. In fact, we did for 6 lanes, and it's a problem to maintain consistency of 99%. So I told the IC guys, I can give it to you 99%, but it's not consistent. He says, can you guarantee? I said no. So it varies. It depends on shadow, sunrise, sunset, and every booth is different some more. Because they can't change the booth. The booth is given to you. So these are all the constraints. So when I discussed this with the ICA, the MHA people, I told them, bring your best video analytics guy. Come on, we use the whiteboard and discuss. I mean, if you really know your stuff, then we discuss. So when we start discussing, it goes down to very basic problems. These are very fundamental problems you cannot solve on site. Nobody can solve because it's just a site condition. So we have changing light condition. whole day, every booth needs calibration. The trick is every booth has to calibrate. So when you scale out, you die, I tell you. Camera lighting, helmet, okay, high technical support. I have a huge technical support, but I told them it's not sustainable. Okay. Okay, so just to share with you in 2016, this is accuracy of measurement. You see all these measurement parameters. I was in GovTech. So at that time, manufacturers states its indoor spec 100%. Thales tender, they said 90%. And when we do for outdoor, we start outdoor, border, when we start outdoor, you see all the outdoor accuracy, 60%, 50%, all cannot meet. This is Thales commit, and what is actual. Then we get stuck with the problem. So I said, okay, if that's the case, then how you solve the problem? Then I found out is that the manufacturer stated for indoor only. But Thales border, go and do outdoor. The algorithm was designed for indoor, and he go and do it for outdoor. He shows that the Thales don't do, Then when they do for indoor, oh okay. You see, that means that you see, even for a multinational like Thales, which is a French program for defense, they are supposed to know that. Hey, look at that, stupid, And they don't know, because I'm very surprised that the people, they go, how many bloody PhDs and cannot understand this? No fundamental understanding of computer vision. 90%. Until I say you go and try indoor and see, it beats. Outdoor cannot. Well, I know it's a problem. There are only two things. Outdoor is so simple that I'm so stupid I cannot do it. So I know the problem. Okay. Then the counting thing where you count number of motorcyclists in there, I had to change from a camera to a LiDAR. So they wanted us to do this measurement. You see this requirement in the tender spec, 99% accuracy, or else you go penalty sue you, Then after that, they also want this unauthorized. Then I told them, cannot be done. This I'm not going to do. I don't detect infant. Take it or leave it. My way on. So they want all these requirements. I said, fine, okay. So I use a LiDAR. The technique I use is a EMI tomography method. Okay, so what we do is that we slice. We slice out the picture. So we use a SIG LiDAR. It has a 75 Hz rate. Okay, no signature. LiDAR, this one LiDAR, I'm going to explain to you. And the worrying part I had was date time. That means that when you scan, there was a date time. Scan date time, then you could miss. It's just a sampling rate. You remember, if you sample, then in between, no data. Then in between, got data, no data. So I was very concerned. So it turns out that the thing was okay. So you see, even selecting the sensor, you have to take care of all these problems. Or else you get a problem you cannot solve it. So there's no date time, which is ideal for parametric modeling. So we started by doing together on test data in my office. They don't use a bike, just use people to simulate this condition to see whether I can figure out. So then, laser also reflect on surfaces. We also discovered by accident. We thought laser don't have, we thought camera got problem with shining, and we later thought, oh my shit, laser got problem. So how you reconstruct back? So what we do is that you have LiDAR picking up this point, this point, this point, this point, this point, this point. In reality, let's say it's a red curve. How you recover from this, we do an interpolation, cubic spline. Cubic spline interpolation gives me, we synthesize back all the point, but the technique is called cubic spline. It's a known technique in numerical methods. So that's why I told you all before, it cross domain. Okay, when you use a computer vision guy who don't understand numerical methods, he will just use standard algorithm, cannot solve one. This is called cubic spline. Okay.
But you know the missing point, because the non-reflect
Yes,
data.
you just cannot get back your data. But because you look at the data points, slice by slice, you can see. But I get my engineers, but they are engineers, they are electronic engineers, they are not people who develop algorithm. Whereas for me, I know how to develop algorithm. I was doing modeling before, so I understand the technique. But once you fit in, it fits very nice. So no interpolation, interpolation comes out. Then after that, the next problem, how you classify as a human. Okay? Yeah. So this is LiDAR from the, because we put at the angle, I can get this plane and this plane. So this top view, there's a back view. So you see there are 76 lines. So when the vehicle, the motorcycle go through with like that, because the LiDAR is 75 times per second. And as it moves through, we pick up a lot of data points. Okay? So we get two views. One is, because you put an angle, you can get two coordinates, the axis, except this axis, you can make into two axes coming out, the Z and the Y. Okay? Now, this is one slice, this second slice, third slice. You just slice up as it moves along. Okay? Now, when you pass through, we slice everything. It's just like slicing of images. Then the problem is that we got a lot of data points to take care, and we have to do data reduction because it's too much data. It's just like our typical LiDAR. Have a lot of data to solve. Wait, my computer was Pentium only. No GPU, hey guys. Then we got to do coordinate transformation. Okay, the trick behind we do is that when you got a motorcycle which moves slow, you slice many slices. Your pin goes down. If it moves very fast, it's like that, correct? So to normalize, we say that the beginning of the bike and end bike we normalize to 1.5 meter. That means that whatever you do, I compress. If it's not, I stretch. To make it consistent, normalization. You see, why I tell you all this is because these are all processing technique which before you go into computer imaging to get it accurate.
How do you find where's the start and end?
Oh, because at every slice, when there's no, let's say this is keep scanning, before you start scan, I will get the first point, correct? The first slice shows something, correct? Then the last slide will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then you know the slide, then you do a normalization. Okay. 1.5 meter is arbitrary. So you just flip the coin. Okay, everybody say 1.5. Okay, like that. So we have this problem, slice, and then the next difficult part, how you curve fit a circle. So my guys have this problem. How you know it's a helmet? Okay, I will share with you later. These are the results we have. So for one lane, we have this problem. We can get better than lower than 1. So it's good. Okay. The next one we get very bad. Why? Okay. Extra object test case. So you can pick up all this. Our problem was all like that. You see this? You cannot figure out what they have this. So the problem was caused by bumps. So when the motorcycle goes through the bump, it oscillates. So when it oscillates, all the capturing all vehicle you want. So the trick was very simple. Shift the bump back. That's all. So if you don't know this, you go and solve the problem, you go and solve by software. So we all go inside, all by management. Yeah, very simple, just shift the thing.
I feel the challenge is not so much of shifting. It's the customer willing to shift.
No,
they have this very idealistic sense of I want your machine vision to solve everything. I don't want to change my infra.
You know, that's the difference. When I go and see my customer, when I have problem, I personally go down, So when I go down, I explain to her. So I say, okay, you don't agree, bring the best guy, come and talk to me. We all discuss on what.
It takes certain skills to convince customer that way.
Yes. Because I can talk with a point pen. Because then you can debate. I mean, there are only two ways, or else you can't solve the problem. I can't leave it to my engineers, they will struggle like shit. Because you go round and round and round and round. So the part of parametric model is this. To guarantee 99%, I need to guarantee 99.5. Okay. So what we did was like that. You see all these LiDAR points. So I take the point on here, I do a reflection. Your head must be symmetrical, cannot be your half head, right? So by doing that, I can figure out the size